In today's video, we're going to be diving into the upcoming pattern, taking a look at some colder times ahead, especially in the short range. As we go through the pattern, we are going to see that progressively warm up. Thankfully, severe weather, there is a day, mostly tomorrow, Thursday, the 10th, that we're watching, where severe weather is a bit of a concern. But outside of that, it does seem like we are going to have a break in severe weather overall, as we've been talking about for possibly up to a week, maybe even 10 days. So it is going to be rather quiet, which is very good news when we've had a relatively historic tornado year so far. We're nearly at 500 tornadoes year to date, which is, I think, like one of the top three year to date. The only years that were higher, I think, was 2017, and then maybe it was like 2023. A couple years ago, we had a really big one too. So one of those 2020s. I think it was 2023 though. So we are off to a rather quick start, but this break is going to be much needed and very, very helpful in that department. Some snowfall is possible, especially lighter events in the northern regions. We're going to discuss that as well. So let's just dive into things. We're looking first off at the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook here from the National Weather Service. This is going to run from the 14th through the 18th. And what we see is overall a positive PNA pattern will be the main pattern that we're in here. What that means is warmth over the west, which we do see there. And it's a mild one, especially the colder air that happens as a result in the east is relatively mild. Near normal for most areas in the east with some below normal temperatures in there, but it should be relatively close to normal. It shouldn't be too far below. So yeah, just a little bit of a quieter temperature pattern as well. We are quite warm along the west, but near normal to slightly below normal in most of the east. Looking at the precipitation, again, kind of following suit with that kind of below average activity, below average precipitation in the west. We see also the southeast seeing a relatively dry few days there as well. The only areas where there might be above average is in the south central, and then areas close to the Great Lakes and the upper Midwest there, as well as northern Maine. But these areas in the south central don't average too much, so just seeing even a little bit of precipitation will push them a little bit past average down here. Also for the Great Lakes and Midwest, it's not the most wet area in the world. Northern Maine, though, that is going to be probably quite a bit. Looking at the 8 to 14 day outlooks, this is for the 16th through the 22nd. It looks quite similar. Warmth along that western area is going to bring in a positive PNA type pattern, and we see some cooler air moving into the east, but again, it is on the milder side of things. As of now, is what's expected. Looking at the precipitation, we do see that this does have a chance of kind of resurging around the 16th through 22nd here. So again, about a week from now, we do have a break for a little bit here, but looking 7, 8, 9, 10 days away, we start to see the activity return to a lot of these hot spots like the deep south here, the South Plains, some of the Central Plains and Midwest, Upper Midwest, Ohio Valley, Tennessee Valley areas in Kentucky as well, Mid-Atlantic. We see these areas as a lot of the areas where we've seen tornadoes so far, and the activity returning here could be a sign that that is going to be back on the rise. So let's look at the European model real quickly. Something to note here. First off, this video is recorded at 1, so the 12Z European model run is not out. This is the 0Z run. But this run does look colder overall than the GFS one we're going to look at. So both of them show short-term cold air. We're going to see progressive warming into the weekend and early next week. The European model then cools us back down after that point, but the GFS model is a little bit more hesitant to bring in the cold air once again, and it actually looks quite warm in the medium to long range, so there is some big differences to note there. Let's just kind of track here what's going to be happening over the next couple of days. Obviously, the cold air is already here, so that's not going to be a surprise that it's kind of sticking around for a while. There is some showery activity across the north central and northwest, but really, I mean, nothing too crazy. Looking at Thursday here on the 10th, we're still cooler in the east. When we track our jet stream, it is kind of billowing up there over the west and troughing down into the east. So it is cooler in the east, and it is quite dreary by Thursday the 10th here. We have showers going on, some snowfall in here. Really just a kind of nasty pattern in the east. Even Friday here, we do see the chance of thunderstorms in this area here. Again, I want to really hammer this home. We do have a chance, a pretty decent chance of severe weather in this area for Thursday the 10th, tomorrow. And then that threat does diminish by Friday, but it is still a little bit present for these areas in Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, and Virginia. We will look at the Storm Prediction Center outlooks, obviously, in just a minute. As we just take a look at Saturday, that storm kind of takes on a nor'easter type characteristic where it wants to move up the eastern states here. We do see overall some snowfall for the higher elevations in areas of Pennsylvania, New York, maybe northern New Jersey, Massachusetts, Vermont, New Hampshire, even northern Connecticut probably. So higher elevation snowfall there, lower elevation rainfall. The Northwest is cooling a little bit here by Saturday, so we see some snowfall across the Northern Rockies and Cascades. And overall, by the time we're reaching Sunday, we do see a significantly warming pattern here, where we end up with a ridge over the east here overall, and a trough-like pattern there in the west. So this is the flow we end up with by Sunday, and again, that does last into Monday. We do have a strong low. We talked about this one a couple of days ago, 992 between the Great Lakes and Hudson Bay. And if you guys have been keeping up with my videos for a few months, you'd note that through the fall and winter time, these lows moving through this area was a big thing, happening very frequently, and it was bringing troughs into the east every single time it moved through. So that's what we're seeing happen here as well in the European model. This strong low moves through, some snowfall also for that area south of the Hudson Bay, and we see the cold air moving in right underneath that low. So kind of following suit with what we've seen so far this year. Tuesday the 15th is definitely a time to watch potentially for some severe weather. Oklahoma, Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Tennessee, Kentucky here all seeing thunderstorms. So just wanted to point that out. Wednesday's a little quieter, cold in the east, some snow showers across the Ohio Valley, Great Lakes, Mid-Atlantic, and Northeast there. So it is pretty substantially cold, actually. And by this Thursday, the 17th time frame, we see a 999 up here in southern Canada. It does want to bring in a dragging cold front, and this could be another severe weather threat. Overnight Thursday into Friday, I mean, look at this strong low there by the upper peninsula of Michigan. Kind of dragging cold front. We'd be watching for potential severe weather throughout this entire area. So Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Kansas, Missouri, Illinois, Kentucky, Indiana, maybe even Michigan and Ohio. This could be a more widespread event once again as we're approaching like that Thursday, Friday, 17th, 18th time frame. Even moving towards Saturday on the 19th, we see this impacting the deep south up into parts of the southeast, as colder air is once again returning again on this European model. So we see this ridge in the west, trough in the east by the time we're reaching that following weekend. Sunday the 20th, though, that warm up comes back in. Monday as well. Some thunderstorms in this warm sector. Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana. This is Monday the 21st. Keep in mind this also could pose a severe weather threat. Also showers and maybe thunderstorms in this area up to the north. So definitely active, and we see as we reach Tuesday that storm is moving across for the deep south, Midwest areas, and even into Wednesday we see this moving towards the east, so that could be another multi-day event. So April doesn't look quiet, but definitely the next week does. But we do see these models suggesting that the activity does pick back up in a big way. It's also worth noting, again, the European model is colder than the GFS model. We see a positive PNA making a comeback here at the end of the model run on the 24th. Keep in mind this is hours 360, so this is very far out, but maybe a sign that this cold could continue, at least according to this European model. But we're going to look at a disagreeing model here, the GFS model, and we see everything moves through in the short range. Here's that trough around Tuesday the 15th. So we do get that one. Some snow showers again in the Ohio Valley, Mid-Atlantic, and Northeast there. But after that system, we see a low here across the Midwest, dragging cold front as we're approaching the 20th. So some thunderstorms and severe weather potentially. But look at these troughs. They are not as impressive as the European model showed. We really just see mostly these areas dealing with much cooler conditions, but not significantly cold. And even as we move through, we eventually end up at a very opposite point of the European model, where we have a trough in the west actually and ridge in the east here with a low over the Dakotas. This could again spell severe weather once again. So we have multiple potential severe weather events on both models, especially after the 15th time frame is when that activity picks back up. They do disagree on the cold or warm pattern after that point, where again, European model is colder, GFS model is a lot more seasonable, maybe even warmer than normal. So some pretty big differences there. Total precipitation on the European model is going to be decent for a lot of these areas, especially with that uptick in activity returning. Out west, a little drier though. When we look at the anomalies, look at this. I mean, drier for most of these areas here. Northwest, north central areas. And then we're a lot closer to average in this pocket with some above average scattered in, but also some below average scattered in. So it's going to be hit or miss, but definitely pretty close to normal and still decent for this eastern area. Total snowfall in the European model is actually interesting with a lot of the mid-Atlantic and northeast, even the Ohio Valley and Great Lakes here, seeing lighter snowfall events, especially around that like 14th through 16th time frame with that cool down. Definitely interesting. And then the Rockies and Cascades, it's much drier. It's definitely cold enough, but it's much drier, so we end up with not that much snowfall in these areas. GFS model, a little bit more bullish for the Rockies and Cascades, even the Northern Plains and Upper Midwest, as well as the Great Lakes. And I would say even more bullish for the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast. So the GFS model is really just a snowier version of the European model, which is funny because the European model is much cooler, but the GFS model just tends to overdo this type of stuff. So I would definitely refer back to the European model if you're looking for what's actually expected, but anything's possible. Either could be right, but probably the European model. Storm Prediction Center outlooks, again, much quieter. Today on Wednesday, we have 3 general thunderstorm outlooks in the lighter greens. It's where we expect general thunderstorms, but anything is possible, so heed every watch, warning, and advisory. By day 2, we see tomorrow, again, we have a general thunderstorm risk, a marginal risk in the darker green, which is where we expect isolated severe weather, and we have a slight risk there for parts of the deep south where we expect scattered about severe weather in the yellow. So if it stays this way, or even if we see an upgrade, which is definitely possible to an enhanced risk, this could be a more active day to watch for. Thursday the 10th, a little bit of a just interesting day sandwiched in with an overall quieter pattern. But we'll be watching this closely. Day 3 is the only other outlook we have, which again features most of the southeast and a general thunderstorm risk with a marginal risk for basically just coastal North Carolina there. So that's it for this video, guys. Be sure to subscribe. We upload every single day. You can even hit the bell icon for daily notifications when we upload so you never miss one. Be sure to like the video if you did enjoy it. Leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.